My grip on the wine glass didn't tremble, not even as her words sliced through the air like a blade. I kept my gaze locked on hers, steady, unflinching. The wine rested bitter on my tongue, not like triumph. No, it tasted like metal, like blood, the kind you bite down on to keep from saying something too honest. She raised her glass, pride gleaming in her eyes as she announced, "I just made partner." Her voice rang out, clear and polished, cutting through the low murmur of the upscale restaurant. Laughter followed, subtle but sharp, her colleagues in their tailored suits and luxury watches chuckling with just enough restraint to pass for politeness. None of them truly knew me. To them, I was background noise, a blue-collar man with rough hands and a quiet demeanor, harmless, forgettable. Once upon a time, she said she loved that about me. Now I understood it for what it was. A thing to hide behind when ambition needed a neutral prop, when loving down meant feeling like she was climbing up. Her mother's phone buzzed suddenly against the stone tabletop. The vibration echoed louder than it should have. She glanced at the screen, then frowned. Her lips parted, voice shaky. "Why? Why does the Wall Street Journal say your company is valued at $1 billion? The word billion broke on her tongue like glass. The laughter at the table stopped cold. The only sound was the faint clink as I placed my glass down gently. I met Sarah 10 years ago. She was a firestorm of ambition, a junior lawyer with razor focus and a hunger for more. She moved through life like it owed her something and was ready to collect. And somehow, in her storm, I had been her stillness. I fixed pipelines. She sealed multi-million-dollar contracts. It felt like balance, like harmony. At least, I thought it did. But that illusion began to fray the night. I overheard her after a few drinks with friends. She laughed and called me reliable, a short-term solution. I told myself she was tipsy, tired, venting. I let it go until I found the second phone, buried deep in her gym bag, laced with messages she didn't mean for me to see, pictures, voicemails. She called him everything you'll never be. That night, I sat in my truck until dawn painted the sky a soft red. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared at the horizon and let something inside me harden. If she only saw a plumber when she looked at me, then I'd become something no one could ignore. I started where I knew best, pipelines, but not the kind she imagined. Not water, not gas, information. I dug out an old patent I'd once drafted, years ago, back when I dreamed bigger, before Sarah encouraged me to settle. It was a concept for a smart infrastructure system, AI-powered diagnostics for aging utility networks. I called it PipeMind. I refined it, reinvented it, brought in a coder to build the prototype, another for the AI backend. They didn't need the whole backstory, just the vision. Silicon Valley didn't care that I wore boots and carried a wrench. They wanted disruption. They wanted brilliance. In less than a year, we had seed funding. By month 13, Series A, big money. I worked around the clock. Sarah never asked where I was or why I came home smelling like leather and clean cologne instead of oil and grit. She didn't notice the office I rented downtown, the wardrobe that shifted piece by piece. She'd stopped seeing me long before I slipped from her sight. Revenge isn't loud. It's patient, sharp, strategic. I collected her words, those little digs she threw at dinner parties, the condescending smiles, the subtle embarrassments. I stored them all, like matches waiting for dry wood. And then came her promotion dinner. She chose the restaurant. I chose the timing. I'd managed the press release personally, scheduled it to go live just as the main course arrived. The Wall Street Journal headline hit like a bullet. PipeMind, the AI utility platform founded by ex-plumber Daniel Ho, hits $1B valuation. Her mother read it aloud. Then again, slower, like she couldn't believe her own voice. Sarah's smile faltered. Her fingers trembled around the glass. "What is this?" she whispered. I leaned back in my seat, calm as ever. "Guess I forgot to mention." I said, "Plumbers can build empires, too." I stood slowly, adjusting the sharp lines of my tailored jacket. Met her eyes. Held them. "You know, Sarah, I said, voice low, steady. I used to wonder when you stopped seeing me as someone worthy, someone who mattered. Then I turned slightly to Ethan, the coworker, the late-night texter, the man she called Escape. You were a nice distraction for her, Ethan, I said with a nod. His face paled. Sarah's went ghost white. I walked to her mother's place setting, placed a small envelope beside her hand. That's the equity transfer, I explained. I've given Sarah her fair share, 0.5%. I took a few steps toward the exit, then paused at the table's end. One more thing, I added, turning just enough to meet Sarah's stunned gaze. I bought your firm's debt last week, through a holding company. Expect some changes on Monday. Silence fell like snow, soft, complete, suffocating. I didn't look back. That part of me, the one that chased her approval, was dead. Outside, the night air bit sharp and clean. I walked to my truck. Not some gleaming sports car or status symbol. Just the same old battered pickup that had carried me through everything. Because real power doesn't need polish. 3 days later, her message came. Just one word. Why? I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. Because you mocked me. And I don't let anyone mock me twice.